Hey everyone, welcome back to another quick Shotball Devlog. You can see we're in Unity now. I decided to switch to it because I was having trouble making the movement system easier to work with in PixelGameMakerMV. It was just too cluttered and messy. So I decided to start over in Unity again. Got some new sprites made, this time with 8x8 tiles. And if I hit play, currently all I've got is the movement system right now. Just the basic movement system. You move around, you run into walls. But it was kind of tricky to get all this to work right. Let's see, if I open up the script here. So there's some funky math that I had to do in order to get this thing working. As you can see, I've got some basic stuff. I also want to thank Bags for his tutorial on making tile sets in Unity. Tile maps. That really helped as well. I've been following his making Minecraft in Unity tutorials, almost done with them, and that kind of made me feel more confident using Unity to work on Shotball. So, as you can see, the main thing here, I've got get movement keys. It checks first if get vertical and get horizontal have changed, and then checks if they're below or above 0 and sets your velocity to either plus or minus movement speed in the X and Y direction. So, because of course the way the game works is you push the button once and your character just continues moving at a constant speed in a specific direction. You can't like stop moving unless you run into a wall or something. So, then we've got check for walls, and this is where it gets a little complicated. So first it checks if the player is moving, which direction the player is currently moving, if they're moving up, down, left, or right. Then it checks if the player is perfectly aligned with whatever axis they're moving along. So if the player's X position is perfectly aligned with the tiles while they're moving up or down, then it has to check a single point at the top or bottom middle of the player. Because what I realized was there were like issues with, I'm checking 4 different points on the corners usually, and those could be on multiple tiles at the same time, so it wouldn't get the correct collision. So it needs to be, but it only happens if the player is perfectly aligned with a certain axis. Otherwise, the player, it's not really a problem. So they have a separate check for if the player is perfectly aligned with the axis, and if not, it just checks the 2 points. So like if they're moving up and they're perfectly aligned with the x-axis, then it checks a single point at the top of the player, and if they're not, then it checks 2 points at the top left and top right corners of the player. And the same happens for every other movement direction, and this is to prevent like the player clipping into walls or getting stuck on walls. It was getting to be a bit of a pain with that, but I finally figured it out. Lots of complex math and stuff though. And then finally there's just a move player function, which just changes the player's transform based on velocity. And then some other stuff like some check for tile functions where it checks if there's a tile from a specified tile map at a position using the has tile function, which has proven to be pretty helpful. So yeah. You might be wondering why I'm coding my own movement system. It's because that was how the Minecraft tutorial that Bags made did the movement in there, and I felt like doing it here too, just as a fun little coding challenge, and because I felt like rigid bodies would have a bunch of extra stuff that I didn't want to worry about, because the physics or pseudo-physics of this game are really basic and simple, and I'm just going to code what I need specifically instead of having all that extra stuff like gravity and friction being put into play when it's not really going to be used at all. So yeah, I'm probably going to keep working on this in the background and get back up to roughly a similar point that I was at in the Pixel Game Maker videos. But in the meantime, maybe I'll make a video showcasing the old version of Shotball. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.